Welcome to Comm 10, the official podcast of the School of Communication at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. We bring you a fast-paced 10-minute spotlight on the voices, stories, and projects shaping journalism, media, and communication on our campus. 10 minutes, one story, all Maverick.
Hi, welcome to Comm 10. I'm your host, Dr. Heather Hundley.
And I'm Jodine Brownlee, a lecturer here in the School of Communication.
And my co-host, so great. Let's see, today with us we have Dr. Adam Tyma. Hey. Dr. Tyma teaches in our journalism and media communication program. He teaches media and culture, visual communication, common instruction, media theories. He's all over the place. He's great. So hey, Dr. Tyma, tell us what your research interests, your methodologies, your topics.
All the things.
Yeah.
So best way to describe it is probably called critical media studies. And the reason I call it that is because I take what I call a cultural studies or a critical approach to understanding film, television, video games, popular culture in general, music, audiences, things like that. At the same time, I also want to understand how our media teaches us. So that kind of weaves my love for all things pop culture with all things media literacy and pedagogy. Mm-hmm. And so I can look at one thing through both those lenses. And then in my research and publishing, it's all across those different areas. So
okay, so you publish things like something about beer.
Yep.
We're looking at superheroes. Yep. What are some of the movies you've
I've got papers out on Alien. I'm working on one right now. I'm going to present up in Bismarck in virtually in this month. Yeah, on Blade Runner and kind of the idea of 80s cyberpunk nostalgia kind of thing. I have talked about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I have talked about there's a whole vampire thing like early 2000s that everyone was into. So I was part of that. So I cover the gamut. Yeah.
Okay.
So I know you have a TikTok channel.
Yes.
And you use that specifically for your teaching. And I don't want to get too much into that, but I want to ask you about it.
Sure.
How do you use that, and what's been the response?
So January of this past year, I decided that I wanted to kind of push what I could do past just the classroom. So getting past the idea of just on campus here. So I started what I call the Media Literacy Survival Guide. And it's basically between 3 and 5, maybe 7-minute long weekly episodes that I do during the school year, because I want to take the summer off too. Just talking about anything from media ownership to First Amendment to what's going on in the news at that moment and what the implications are through a media literacy lens, right? So I'm always pushing in my class that the best media users are those that are critical consumers and critical producers. And since I had no idea what TikTok was or how it worked, I was like, well, I guess I'm going to teach myself. So that's what I did. So I do this thing, and some of my students follow it, others don't. I've picked up, I think I've got 171 followers right now that I've picked up, which is not much in TikTok land, but none of them are my students. They're all other people. And so I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of cool.
And
right?
they just stumbled across this?
Yeah, it comes across in their feed. It all depends on when you drop your video, utilizing the algorithm to your advantage. I think one of our former colleagues, Dr. Lipschultz, would call it search engine optimization, and really making sure you've got the right tags and the right hashtags, things like that. I dropped a video this morning at 7 a.m. really talking about what happened after the Charlie Kirk shooting, in particular with Disney, Bob Iger, Kimmel, the FCC, and kind of talk about what the implications were on that regarding First Amendment and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And I put that together last night, dropped it at 7. It's got 134 views now. So hopefully I've figured out a little bit of how the algorithm works. But yeah, that's kind of what I do with it. I just try to get people understanding things.
Wow. I'm really interested in it, in the fact that, you did say you opened it to the public. So it's not private, it's not just for your students. Mm-hmm. The other question for you is, how are the students responding to that? Because I'm finding a mixed bag with AI, with technology, social engineering, and social media.
When I have brought it up with my classes, I've said, hey, if you want to get some other insights on stuff, I do this thing. check it out if you want to, don't if you want to. It's entirely up to you. A few have said, hey, that's cool. I've had one or two people say, Tim, you got to work on your production. I was like, okay, well, fine. It's not what I'm here to do, but thanks.
Yeah.
I think our students right now are so saturated with messaging that it's one more message. And so that's why I'm not going to require, hey, I do this thing. If you want to check it out, cool. What I like is the fact that I can just pick up random people here and there. And I can just go say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Here, if you dig what I'm thinking, follow along for the ride. If you don't dig it, have a nice day. Catch you later. And so that's been kind of what the response has been in general. No one has flamed me. No one has attacked me online. Some folks, random people, have asked really good questions. And so I've actually done research and responded to them in the comments. In my mind, like, I'm teaching more people that way. That's cool. So it's kind of the way I look at it, as a form of public scholarship and public outreach for scholarship, which I think is something we need to do. So
Right,
I do.
cool. So let's go back to this superhero thing.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
You have a book that's about superheroes. I believe it's an edited volume. It's co-edited, so you have a couple of colleagues.
Yep.
So tell us about that.
Sure. So there have been kind of one of the big conferences I go to is Central States Communication Association, and I started 10 years ago what was called the Pop Culture Interest Group. What we have seen in that group over the last several years, not surprisingly, is a bunch of panels on Marvel, on MCU, because it's now saturated. So now it's like, okay, what's going on in here, right? Mm-hmm. So about 3 years ago, I put together a research panel where we presented our papers in front of a bunch of people. We had a full room. It was great. There was another group of 4 or 5 scholars putting their ideas in the afternoon. Same deal. It was great. So I got together with the people up at that panel together and said, hey, I've got 5 chapters here. You've got 4 chapters there. Oh, this is a book, right? And the person who planned that one said, yup. And so at the same time, I ran to a good friend of mine who teaches out in Portland now. And I said, hey, we're thinking about doing this thing. She's like, yeah, didn't we talk about it a couple of years ago? We kind of threw it around. Like, yeah, you got people? She said, yeah, I got people. So we've got a 13 chapter, I think, volume coming out. Hopefully beginning of the year. It's going through peer review right now to get those fun blurbs on the back of the book. It's going to be published through Bloomsbury. They purchased Lexington, which was owned by Rowan and Littlefield, so it's kind of a chain of ownership.
Right.
But yeah, it should be coming out in January, as long as the lawyers like it. And the reason I say that is because Bloomsbury also has a deal with Marvel. They're republishing a bunch of their stuff, so they had to do an IP check on us to make sure that we were not too mean.
So could you give us a taste of some of the chapters, like which superheroes or which, for those who are not comic followers?
Right. So this is all Marvel. This is all Marvel Universe.
Is that like Thor?
That's Thor. That's the Avengers. That's the whole thing you've seen happening. We have, I think, the best papers. There's 2 that are amazing. One of them is an analysis of the second Black Panther through a post-colonial critique. And the other one is a study of the movie Logan, which was this offshoot that was done. It's about Wolverine at the end of his life. And there's a whole comic lineage that goes along with that. And it's probably one of the best Marvel movies ever done. It's probably one of the best 100 movies that's come out, period, in the last, because it doesn't rely on the mutant or the superpowers thing. It's a story about a guy coming to terms with his mortality who's never had to think about it because he never dies. Right. And all of a sudden he does, or is about to. So it's all these things kind of going on there. I think it's brilliant. I wrote a piece on what is the meaning of Captain America's shield. Throughout the arc of the Marvel stuff, there's a host of other things. Another one of our former students did a paper on Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow. So she's got a piece in there. So yeah, it's fun. I thought it turned out amazingly well.
So it sounds like a fun way to package some academic ease, because you mentioned postmodernism, right? Was it post-colonialism?
Yep.
Sorry. Thank you. So it's not necessarily light reading, but it's kind of a accessible way to reach academic thinking about popular culture.
I think so. Absolutely. Yep.
And this is mostly for the MCU.
This is all MCU. Yep, that one is. Yep. DCS get its act together, and they kind of are. I'm looking forward to see what they're doing in the next couple of years. So we'll see how that plays. I'm a massive dork. Come on.
Yeah, love it.
So after all of this work and all of this, thought, and I imagine this is not just your job, but it's a hobby as well.
Sure.
You love it, and that's one of the beauties of our career choices. We get to study oftentimes what we really love.
Yep.
So have you sort of fallen in love with a character or have a favorite character?
Ugh, this is the worst question ever.
I heard Captain America, but just the
Cap is actually not my favorite character. Except some of the stuff that they did with Cap in the last 10 years is kind of fun. I grew up a fan of Thor. I have a sketching of there was one of the art pencil guys was doing a thing at a comic shop when I was like in middle school. My dad stopped by there after work, and he got me a shot of Thor, kind of one of his classic poses, and I still have that in one of my photo albums to this day. So Thor is one of mine. I love Daredevil. Daredevil is one of my, because he didn't want to be doing what he's doing. Like what happened to him? Tragic accident, goes blind, and now his senses are all super tuned, and he hates it. What I wish they would do in the TV show is really talk about his darker side. He's a man who is in so much pain because he doesn't feel pain. He just doesn't care. He is addicted to painkillers. He is on things to keep him awake at all times, right? He's all these things going on. So by and large, I think probably Thor and Daredevil are probably two of my more favorites. Yeah.
Well, what a cool thing to do is you have a childhood love and interest for comics and these characters and superheroes, and then it move fast forward into your career, and you're still doing.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for joining us, Dr. Tyma.
No problem.
And thank you for joining us in Comm Intend. Please join us on our social media at UNO School of Communication.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Comm Intend, a production of the School of Communication at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. New episodes drop every other week, so be sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. And don't forget to follow the School of Communication on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube for the latest episodes and behind-the-scene updates.